I'm here with the mid laner of Gentle Hearts Gaming, Ariendel, after their unfortunate 2-0 loss to Aporia in the last round of the GSO group stage. Ariendel, in that last game specifically, it seemed like it was very hard for Gentle Hearts and you guys to make plays or try to find fights around the map. You guys were actually up in kills until about 30 minutes into that game. What were Aporia doing that made it so hard to find angles and find yourselves the opportunities to take fights?
I think it wasn't so much what Apori was doing, as more so I think our team struggled a little bit with being proactive. We, as a team, I felt like weren't confident to be like looking for proactive plays, looking for angles and ways to snowball our advantage. And so we kind of stagnated in that game too, and it kind of led to like just like a snowball effect where eventually Aporia was able to claw the way back in and take over the game.
Yeah, this is a roster that you were a part of that I think had some pretty good expectations. You had some really talented players, but unfortunately unable to make it to the top eight. What was the goal originally of this team to kind of make it to top eight and beyond? And what were some things that you thought could have, maybe helped you guys get there?
Yeah, definitely our goal as a team was to shoot for promotion tournament. So definitely top 12 finish was a bit of a disappointment to us all. I think like everyone was looking for better results for sure. One thing that we struggled really hard with as a team was adjusting to new patch cycles. 'Cause I think that's a different thing this year, whereas like all the matches are being played on live, right? As opposed to just being held on one patch for the whole tournament. Last week's match is like right on the new patch, right? We only have like 3 days to figure out like what's good and what's strong and how we want to play and prioritize on the new patch. And I think like being able to adapt quickly was a bit of a struggle for our team.
You've been a player in these tournaments for a while, but coming to 2024, what were some goals that you had personally for yourself in terms of things that you wanted to work on and things that you wanted to show the world for this season?
Going to 2024, I really wanted to push myself to like break through and hit NACL tier 2. And so I actually, at the start of the year, made the decision to move to Chicago and grind for a year with Chicago Ping right next to the servers and really just like, push myself out of my comfort zone and just, give it my all and try to break through this year.
I think this is your sixth year playing in amateur at this point, which is kind of crazy to think about. So, what is like kind of the drive that keeps you going and wanting to play competitive every single year?
Like I think it started back in around 2018 when I was still in UCI and we just won collegiate that year. And that was kind of the starting point for me. Like that was the moment when I decided like this is something that I feel like I can try to pursue and like, see how far it takes me, right? Trying to become a pro player. Like the last 3 years after I graduated UCI, I've been playing amateur full time and every year kind of just reevaluate like how do I feel? Do I feel like I'm progressing? Every year I find that answer inside myself is like I still think I can make it. I feel like I'm improving and learning and growing as a player and like as an individual, seeing that growth as well as like the self-belief in myself, I think that's what really keeps me going. One other big part I feel like that carries me through is like all the support I have from my family and friends. Like my family is super supportive of my career choice and they just tell me like, don't worry, if this is something you want to do, we support you 100%. And the same with my friends, like they all believe in me. They're all rooting for me. And like, I think that really helps me keep going. And like, sometimes like, when you hit those ruts, you hit those slumps, it's just like remembering all that support just goes a long way.
It's always really fun to watch you play in these tournaments, and hopefully we get to see some more of it. Are you planning on playing in the next qualifier? And if so, I know that there are some new rules that have been announced that will allow for players to stream their POVs. Do you plan on doing that for the qualifiers as well?
I definitely plan on continuing to compete in the next OQ. Streaming my POV definitely will be something I will look into. It'll be a great opportunity to like showcase from my perspective, my gameplay, and what I do during the matches. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ariendel, for joining with me on this interview. Before we go,
Thank
do you
you
have
for
any
having me.
quick shout outs that you want to share to the world before we move on with the show?
I think I mentioned it before already, but just shout out to my family, my friends who are always supporting me, and also to all my fans out there, or like people who enjoy watching me play. Thank you for supporting me as well. It means a lot to me. And then also just want to shout out like my teammates who are always wonderful, past and present. I feel like a lot of times we kind of forget that like when we move on to new teams, then people are kind of just focused on like their current teammates, and then they kind of forget like everyone has like the same goal. They want to promote, and it's always a good time to like play against former teammates and just good vibes and everything. So, shout out to all of them, hoping that we all make it at some point.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ariendel, for joining us. We look forward to watching you compete more in the future, and let's move on with the show.